by senior NFL insider, the one and only Adam Schefter. Adam, good morning. Tell me this. What are you hearing about the possibility of Davante Adams getting traded today?
I thought you might ask that this morning, Molly, so I made a couple of calls in advance. And the response that I got back to any potential Davante Adams trade by the 4 o'clock Eastern deadline today was to quote, "Not a chance in hell." So there's your answer. Not a chance in hell. Not going to happen.
Quote, Adam.
He's not going to be dealt by the 4 o'clock deadline today, despite the fact that everybody sees what's going on there. Everybody sees how frustrated he is. Everybody sees how disappointed they are. And everybody knows, he would fit with a lot of teams. A lot of teams could use Davante Adams right now by the 4 o'clock trade deadline, but that trade is not going to happen. There's a lot of trades that you'd like to talk about that make sense. This could be one, but it's just not going to happen by the deadline today.
Adam Schefter, it's always wonderful to see you, my brother. And since you said there's no chance, not
Likewise.
a chance in hell that he's going to be moved, okay, we'll move beyond that for the moment, okay? And I'll ask you this. Is there a chance in hell that Josh McDaniels may not finish this season as head coach of the Raiders? He's 9-16 as the head coach. They're 3-5 now. I mean, we're not seeing very impressive things. Jimmy Garoppolo's this guy, all right? He didn't want Derek Carr. What's the chances of this man? What are you hearing about Josh McDaniels and his tenure in Las Vegas in light of how this team has been looking?
Well, Stephen, let me say this. He's got a lot of years and a lot of money left on that contract. And I don't think that relationship has gone the way that anybody would have hoped it would through 2 seasons so far. And so Mark Davis is going to have to sit down and figure out what he wants to do going forward. The season, again, going to last night, they've actually reeled off some wins here recently, but when you watch a game like that on national TV and you see Davante Adams wide open on 2 plays where there could have been touchdowns and there wasn't, all these questions now start to come into play. And you start wondering about that. Now, again, there's not a chance in hell of a lot of things in the NFL, but with coaches who don't win, there's always a chance of something, right? So you just have to see how this unfolds. That's a decision Mark Davis has been through. There's been so much instability in that organization. I would think he'd want to be stable, but he's the owner. He does what he wants. There's a lot of money invested there. We'll see what he decides.
Yeah.
Did Gruden?
Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I was going to ask, Chef, did Gruden money comes off the books because, like you said, he had that 10-year deal for $100 million, and now you got Josh McDaniels money on the book. You said he had a lot of years left and a lot of money left. Well, if Gruden number is off the books, you got to eat this. Because I don't know why people continue to give Josh McDaniels opportunity. Because we've seen his resume outside of New England. Go look at him when he was the offensive coordinator with the St. Louis Rams. Go look at his resume offensively as a head coach when he was in Denver. At what point in time do you start to realize, like, you know what? Tom Brady made a lot of these guys, because all these coordinators and all these guys that have gotten jobs out of New England, when they couldn't bring Tom Brady with them, they didn't look the same. And Josh McDaniels is a prime example. So how much longer do you believe that Mark Davis will stay with the guy, even though he might owe him, say, $50 million?
Well, first of all, we don't even know how the Gruden situation resolved itself, because there was obviously some sort of discussion between John Gruden and Mark Davis at the time where the NFL uncovered those emails. And so I'm sure they figured out how to settle the differences in the remaining balance on that contract. I think Josh McDaniels, after this season, if I'm not mistaken, has about 3 years, upwards of $30+ million left on the contract. And so there's a lot of money. And when you change the head coach, then you have to change all the assistant coaches. And now you're starting over again. And so that's why, to me, it's a tough thing that he's got to figure out what he wants to do. You can't just keep cycling through coaches year after year. That doesn't work in this league. But obviously, the season's been a huge disappointment, and it's not going the way that anybody wanted there. So Mr. Davis is going to have to sit down and figure out what he wants to do.
I agree with you, Adam, but in the same breath, it's Nevada's no state income taxes. I mean, you know, you go down to the casino, have a big night winnings, and that'll offset whatever loss that you might have with Josh McDaniels. I mean, talk about you don't figuratively roll the dice in Vegas. You can literally go down the block and roll the dice if you Mark Davis and make up for the loss. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, if you keep
the possibilities
and you
are
can
endless.
crap out too. You can crap out
That is
too.
true.
You know, so
He has already. I would make that argument. He has already.
But Schefter, you keep using Vegas and say that's a lot of money. You don't want to keep recycling going through coaches, but that's the problem. He keep recycling old coaches. He recycled John Gruden, who had been away from the game for a decade. He recycled Josh McDaniels. Instead of giving some of these young guys an opportunity, he went back and giving guys opportunity that had proven they hadn't been successful as head coaches.
yeah. Well, you know what? He's got a guy that he's trying to make an ownership deal with. Maybe he can convince him to come out of retirement and go play quarterback and hit a wide open Davante Adams. That might be the best solution of all.
Now, Jeff, which team should be on the phone about Adams right now?
Oh, the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they need to call, or the Chiefs. I would go either way, but the Buffalo Bills right now, you think about how decimated they are on defense. I mean, losing Milano, Tre'Davious White, like the injuries that are mounted on that side of the ball, they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. And so you need something to help Josh Allen. They have no real semblance of a run game. You got Diggs on the outside. If you put Davante Adams on the other side, think about what you have there. And here's the thing about the Raiders. It's not like they're not trying to target Davante Adams. Jimmy G can't give him the ball. You know that's not going to be a problem with Josh Allen. Josh Allen will find ways to get him the ball. And from Davante Adams' standpoint, this guy's almost 30 years older, maybe even 30 years old. You want to go win. I mean, man, like you don't want to be in purgatory. You don't want to be sitting in Las Vegas, whether Josh McDaniels gets fired or doesn't get fired. If Jimmy G going to keep being your quarterback, like he went there to play with Derek Carr, not for the QB shuffle. And so, however it shakes out there in Vegas, if you're Davante Adams, I would be in Mark Davis going, hey, I'm ready to go. I appreciate it. I appreciate the money. I'm not ready for a rebuild, right? If I was going to rebuild, I should have stayed in Green Bay when they let go of Aaron Rodgers. I need to be somewhere we can win. That would be in Buffalo or with the Chiefs, either one. But Buffalo, if I'm Buffalo, I'm making that call because you know you're going to be in shootouts, unfortunately, because of the injuries on your defensive side.
I'm more about the Chiefs.
Oh,
And I'm more about the Chiefs. And here's the reason why, Jeff, Saturday. We know what Patrick Mahomes brings to the table. Here's the one stat that you need to know. Do you know, since the start of last season, 4 TD passes, deep passes, 20 yards or more downfield. That is all Patrick Mahomes has thrown. 4 since the start of last season, meaning since he lost Tyreek Hill. Now, I know we're sitting here looking at them as the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, and I get all of that. I understand that. But the flip side to it is that this season, unlike in Buffalo, Buffalo's got a few problems. They'll get it together, but we all know that Stephon Diggs is that dude. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, here's where it really resonates with you, okay? You've got receivers dropping passes.
For sure.
Dropping passes, okay? They can't get open, and when they get open, they can't catch. And so whether it's Rashee Rice, all right, who, by the way, is leading them with TDs, and whether it's Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, don't get me started with him. I mean, damn, you're dropping passes. So either you're not getting open, and you got Patrick Mahomes running in for his life, waiting for one of y'all to get open, or he gets the ball to y'all, throws y'all open, and you're still dropping passes. When it's the combination of those two things, you've got to go out and you've got to get a receiver, and McCole Hardman is not going to do the trick. You need more than McCole Hardman in order to pull that off. I'm about the Chiefs on this question.
I agree with you, but I'm not so sure they're willing to trade him within the division.
Sure, they know it's not going to happen.
Hey, Friday, that's a no-no.
Yes,
unless you're Coach Belichick and you trade Drew Bledsoe to the Buffalo Bills because you realize he doesn't have anything left. I don't think there's a stretch beyond the imagination that people think Davante Adams doesn't have anything left. So with me, I agree with you, Stephen. I agree with you also, Saturday, that Davante Adams with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, that's all. It's over. It's literally over. The way their defense is playing, with Davante Adams and Travis Kelce.
But Patrick Mahomes throwing on the ball, Lord.
You know, I mean, it's interesting. Like this, and you know, I know they're not going to trade anybody in the division, but when you think about Adams or that type of receiver to Kansas City, you take all the pressure off of Kelce, and the other part is you're allowing those young receivers, Stephen H., you talked about, they got 19 drops, the most in the NFL. Allow those other guys to kind of learn and figure this thing out. Because here's what's going to end up happening. And Shannon, you and I both know this. That Sky Moore drop touchdown, That bothers Mahomes, bro. Like, you can think
Yeah.
whatever you want. Like, Mahomes is a pro's pro. He shook it off. He walks the sideline. Let me tell you something. You do that. Go ask people who played for Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Do that to me twice, bro. You might not ever get a ball. Like, it don't matter what the coach calls.
Right.
It don't matter. You ain't going to get that rock again, brother. You keep dropping them things, and the quarterback will make sure everybody understands you're not getting touches. So somebody, like to your point, whatever it is for Kansas City, they got to light a fire for these young guys to understand, man. Like QBs, they're taking enough hits, right? They're taking enough shots to get you that ball
drop a
delivered.
touchdown pass.
You have got to get your part done.
S.A.,
By the
get
way,
in here,
just
and
a
then I want to
correction.
come
Just
to you on
correction
something
here.
else.
I just wanted to make sure clarification. Rasheed Rice, only Chiefs receiver with more than 20 receptions and with multiple TDs. I didn't mean to say he led them in TDs. He had multiple TDs. Only one with more than 20 receptions and multiple TDs. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Stephen, I want to come to you on this, and I want to get all of your thoughts here. Who should Vegas move on from first? Is it Davante Adams or Josh McDaniels?
Josh McDaniel, easy. That's the easiest question you've asked me this year, Molly.
Yeah.
That's the easiest question. I mean, we almost in the year 2024. I haven't had an easier question in my life.
We
It's
just
Josh
talked
McDaniels.
about the whole contract situation with Adams,
It doesn't
with Josh
matter.
McDaniels. So I'm factoring in the money and the logistics as well, guys.
I feel you on that.
Not just based on performance, of course. We know what
I'm
Davante
talking
Adams is.
performance. As far as I'm concerned, I don't worry about billionaires. Find the money. Find the damn money. Do what you got to do. This is the coaches. The cap is with the players. You got the cap with the coaches. Eat it, okay? Because Josh McDaniels is not the answer. There's certain people that prove to you they're coordinators. They're not leaders of men. They're not overseers. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way that it is. And by the way, I'm one of those guys, just so you know, this is a philosophy, Jeff Saturday, Molly, you. I'm the kind of dude, if the house is messed up, I'll burn the damn house down before I sit up there and live in a dirty house. I'm not going to sit up there and allow the house to continue to deteriorate incrementally
To fall
or
on your
slowly.
head, huh?
Hell with all of that. Burn it down. I mean, start anew. I don't care. You don't sit back and watch an erosion take place incrementally. Just
You're not gonna renovate. You're just gonna burn. You're just gonna burn the whole
take it
damn
out.
thing down.
I'm just saying. In other words, everybody got to go. Let me put it in layman's terms.
I'm just messing with
Everybody
you.
got to go.
All right,
Everybody got to go.